Have you ever wondered why you, as a Sigma female, are the one to walk away first in relationships? I know it sounds surprising, but let's break it down together. Hey there, beautiful souls. Today, we're talking about something that's often misunderstood. Why most Sigma females choose to quit relationships first. If you've ever found yourself in this situation, you're not alone, and you're definitely not wrong. Understanding the deeper reasons behind this can help you reclaim your personal power, and that's what we're all about. So, grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's get into it. Now, before we jump into the reasons, let's talk about what people think they know about Sigma females. You know the stereotypes: distant, aloof, cold. But we both know that's far from the truth. Sigma females are incredibly deep, self-aware, and loyal. The issue isn't that Sigma females are incapable of love or commitment. The truth is, the way Sigma females experience relationships is often misunderstood, and this can lead them to make tough choices, like ending things before anyone else. Let's explore why this happens. Here are 8 reasons why most Sigma females quit relationships first. 1. Feeling like they're doing all the work. Sigma females are used to taking charge in their lives, but when they feel like they're the only one putting in effort, whether it's emotionally, mentally, or practically, it can get exhausting. Sigma females want a partner who matches their energy. If they're carrying all the weight, it's a deal breaker. Sigma females are used to being independent and self-sufficient. From the start, they've learned how to take charge of their lives, setting their own goals, making their own decisions, and handling their own problems. It's not that they mind responsibility. In fact, they thrive when they're in control. But that control doesn't just extend to their own lives. It applies to how they manage relationships too. However, here's where things start to get tricky. When Sigma females are in a relationship and feel like they're the only one putting in the effort, it starts to wear them down. It doesn't matter whether it's emotionally, mentally, or even practically. The weight starts to feel heavy, and that's when it becomes a problem. Relationships are supposed to be partnerships, but when Sigma females end up carrying all the responsibility, it stops feeling like teamwork. Whether it's handling all the communication, making all the decisions, or just doing the emotional labor to keep things moving forward, it can become exhausting. Sigma females start to feel like they're the only ones invested, and that's not something they can just brush off. At the heart of it, Sigma females are looking for balance. They want a partner who not only understands them, but matches their energy. They want someone who doesn't just follow along, but actively participates in creating a healthy, thriving relationship. If Sigma females are constantly the ones initiating plans, putting in the effort to communicate, or trying to keep the emotional connection alive, it feels like they're doing all the work. That's draining. Relationships should feel like a give and take, not a one-way street. If Sigma females feel like they're the only ones making an effort, it's not just frustrating. It starts to affect how they see the relationship itself. It can feel like their needs aren't being met, or worse, like they're undervalued. Sigma females will always give their best when they feel that their effort is appreciated and reciprocated. It's not about expecting perfection. Sigma females don't need someone to be perfect, but they do need someone who meets them halfway. A relationship shouldn't feel like they're the only ones pulling the weight. If they're constantly exhausted from having to do everything, they start to feel like they're stuck in a situation that's unbalanced and unsustainable. Sigma females know their worth, and they know that any relationship they're in should support their growth, not hold them back. They won't stay in a relationship where they're the only one working to make it thrive. It's simple. If they're carrying all the weight, they're likely to walk away. They don't have time for relationships that drain them. They want to build something solid and fulfilling with someone who's just as invested as they are. If their partner isn't meeting them in that space, Sigma females will recognize it, and they won't hesitate to let go. Doing all the work without reciprocity is a deal-breaker for Sigma females. Relationships should be about mutual respect, mutual effort, and mutual care. Without those, Sigma females know it's time to move on. 2. Not feeling like a priority. Sigma females don't settle for being an afterthought. They need to feel valued, and if their partner is putting them on the back burner, they notice. A relationship should be a priority for both people, not just one. When Sigma females see they're not important anymore, they'll walk away. Not feeling like a priority is one of the most significant red flags for Sigma females. They don't expect to be the center of someone's world, but they do expect to be valued and respected. When they enter a relationship, they invest time, energy, and emotion. They put in the effort because they care, and they want their partner to know that they are important to them. But when they start to feel like they're not a priority, that's when things start to shift. It's not about expecting constant attention or praise. Sigma females are independent by nature, and they're comfortable with their space. However, what they can't stand is being treated like an afterthought. It's easy to get caught up in the daily grind, work, family, friends, and personal goals. Life happens, but when they're consistently put on the back burner, it starts to make them feel unimportant. Sigma females know when they're not being prioritized. They're not blind to the signals. When a partner continually cancels plans, doesn't make time for them, or is emotionally unavailable, it sends a clear message. They're not a priority. This doesn't go unnoticed. They might give someone the benefit of the doubt for a while, understanding that life can be busy, but there's a limit. If Sigma females are always making the effort to connect, but it's never reciprocated, they feel neglected. It's hard to feel valued when you're the one doing all the work to keep the relationship going. This lack of priority can manifest in many ways. Maybe Sigma females plan dates, but they get pushed aside for something else. Or they send a message and get left on read for hours, maybe even days. The excuses start piling up, but the actions speak louder than words. They begin to wonder, do they care? Are they invested in this? Or am I just filling a space for them until something better comes along? The truth is, Sigma females won't stick around in a relationship where they're not a priority. They're not needy, but they are looking for a partner who respects their time and values their presence. They're looking for someone who will give them the same energy they give their partner. If they're constantly second place, they'll start to question the entire dynamic. Relationships are supposed to be mutual. If Sigma females are putting in the effort but don't feel like it's being acknowledged, it leads to frustration and disappointment. No one likes to feel like they're being taken for granted, and Sigma females are no exception. They've learned the hard way that being treated as an afterthought isn't something they're willing to tolerate. They have too much respect for themselves to settle for being someone's backup plan or last-minute option. Over time, this feeling of not being a priority begins to erode trust. Sigma females start to feel like they're not worth the effort, and when they reach that point, it's only a matter of time before they walk away. When they don't feel valued, it's a deal breaker. A Sigma female will always choose to walk away rather than remain in a relationship where she's not seen or respected. It's not about being dramatic, it's about self-respect. They know their worth, and they won't stay in a situation where they're not treated like they matter. In the end, they value themselves too much to stay in the shadows. They deserve to be a priority, and when they're not, they'll leave. Stop right here. If this resonates with you, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Let's get back into it. 3. Craving something more fulfilling. Sigma females are always striving for growth, both individually and in their relationships. If they feel stagnant or unfulfilled, that's a huge red flag. Sigma females need relationships that challenge them, that make them feel more alive. If they don't get that, they'll head for the door. Craving something more fulfilling is something that every Sigma female experiences when she begins to feel like a relationship isn't meeting her needs. They don't just want to settle for the bare minimum. They want to feel like they're growing and evolving, both individually and as a couple. Relationships should be a source of growth and fulfillment, not just a place to pass the time. For Sigma females, it's about depth and substance. They aren't interested in surface-level connections that lack meaning. If they start to feel like the relationship is stagnant or unfulfilling, they'll begin to question if it's worth staying in. This doesn't mean they're chasing excitement or drama. It means they want more than just routine and complacency. They want something that challenges them, that inspires them, and that makes them feel like they're becoming the best versions of themselves. If a relationship starts to feel like they're stuck in a cycle with nothing new to offer or nothing changing, they'll start to feel drained. Sigma females thrive on novelty, growth, and intellectual stimulation. They want conversations that expand their minds, activities that inspire them, and a partner who constantly encourages them to be better. When they don't get that, the relationship becomes unfulfilling, and they'll begin to look for it elsewhere, whether it's through personal growth or finding something new. When they feel like they're not being challenged, they lose interest. Sigma females need a partner who matches their drive and ambition. If they're constantly pulling the weight, emotionally or intellectually, they begin to feel resentful. They need someone who can challenge them, support them, and encourage their dreams. A relationship should be a place where they feel motivated, not weighed down. They're not asking for someone to change for them, but they do need someone who aligns with their values, who brings out the best in them. If the relationship starts to feel like a chore instead of a partnership, they'll begin to pull away. They won't stay in something that doesn't excite them or make them feel alive. A Sigma female isn't afraid of change, and they aren't afraid of walking away if it means they'll find something more fulfilling. They won't stay in a relationship that leaves them feeling empty. They need a connection that fills them up, that makes them feel seen and valued. They don't want to spend their time in something that feels like a dead end. They'd rather walk away and focus on their own growth, knowing that they deserve more. A relationship with a Sigma female isn't just about companionship. It's about depth, connection, and growth. If they're not feeling those things, they'll walk away without hesitation. Their time is valuable, and they don't waste it on relationships that don't add value to their lives. For Sigma females, fulfillment is everything, and they won't settle for anything less than a relationship that nourishes them. If the relationship doesn't bring them that sense of fulfillment, they'll choose to move on and find something that does. It's not about being picky, it's about knowing what they deserve and not settling for less. 4. Recognizing they've grown apart. It's not that Sigma females are looking for perfection, but they are looking for someone who evolves alongside them. If they've grown in different directions, or if the connection just doesn't feel the same anymore, it's often a sign that they need to let go. Sigma females won't hold on to something that no longer aligns with who they are. Recognizing when they've grown apart is something that Sigma females are very aware of. They value deep connections, and when those connections start to fade, it becomes clear. It's not that they don't care about the person. They probably do, but they're also very self-aware. They can tell when the spark is gone or when they've started living separate lives. Relationships evolve, and sometimes those evolutions simply don't align. When you're a Sigma female, you know the difference between growth within the relationship and growing apart from your partner. Sometimes it happens gradually. At first you don't notice it. Maybe it's small things, a lack of shared interests, less time spent together, or conversations that no longer flow the way they once did. But over time, it starts to add up. The feeling of being disconnected creeps in, and Sigma females start to feel like they're living parallel lives instead of a shared one. They won't ignore that feeling for long. Sigma females are always evaluating themselves and their relationships. They are constantly reflecting, and if they start to feel like they're not growing together, they begin to question the future. When they realize that they're just not in sync anymore, it's hard to ignore. It's like trying to keep a fire alive when the wood has already burned out. It's tiring, and it doesn't feel right. Sigma females aren't looking for perfection, but they do look for a partner who is growing alongside them, not in the opposite direction. When growth isn't happening together, the relationship starts to feel more like a burden than a partnership. The truth is, Sigma females won't stay in relationships where they're no longer learning, growing, or evolving. If they're in a relationship where they feel like they've outgrown their partner or that they're being held back, they know it's time to let go. They're not the type to stay stuck in something simply out of comfort or fear of being alone. They'd rather be single and continue growing than remain in something that feels stagnant. This isn't about being heartless. It's about being honest with themselves and with the people they're involved with. If Sigma females recognize that they've changed, and so has the relationship, they know that the healthiest thing to do is part ways. No matter how much they care about the person, if they've grown apart, staying in the relationship would only create more resentment and pain in the long run. Sigma females value their emotional well-being and personal growth above all else, and if they feel like they're not moving forward with someone, they won't hesitate to walk away. They deserve a relationship that makes them feel alive, challenged, and connected. If they're no longer getting that from someone, the love they once felt fades, and it becomes harder to justify staying. Relationships should be a place where both people feel like they're better versions of themselves, where each person is evolving and supporting the other. If that's not happening, it's time to face the reality. They've grown apart. And for a Sigma female, that's a sign it's time to move on. They don't hold on to the past because they know that growth can't happen when you're looking backwards. If it's no longer working, they'll walk away and continue on their path of self-fulfillment and growth, ready for whatever new journey awaits. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps. Now, let's move on. 5. Wanting to focus on themselves. Sigma females know the importance of self-care and personal growth. Sometimes a relationship can become a distraction from their own dreams and ambitions. If they're putting too much energy into someone else and neglecting their own goals, it's time to reset and refocus on themselves. Wanting to focus on themselves is a crucial reason why many Sigma females choose to quit relationships first. For Sigma females, self-care and personal growth are non-negotiable. They value their independence and freedom, and they are constantly working on their personal goals, mental health, and overall well-being. When Sigma females enter a relationship, they are committed to it, but that doesn't mean they're willing to compromise on the things that are most important to them. If a relationship starts to interfere with their ability to focus on themselves or achieve their personal goals, they will start to pull back. It's not that Sigma females don't care about their partners, they do, but they know that they have to take care of themselves first in order to be the best partner they can be. The moment they feel like they're losing sight of their own needs, dreams, and ambitions for the sake of someone else, they begin to question whether the relationship is worth continuing. Sigma females understand that their happiness comes from within, and they are the only ones responsible for their own fulfillment. They won't let anyone or anything take that away from them. Relationships can sometimes feel like they demand a lot of time, energy, and attention, and while that's fine when the relationship is balanced and healthy, it becomes a problem when it starts to feel like they're neglecting their own needs. For Sigma females, putting themselves first is essential. They're not selfish. They're simply honoring their own boundaries. If they're giving so much of themselves to someone else that they start losing themselves, they know it's time to step back and reassess. They don't stay in relationships where they feel like they're constantly sacrificing their happiness or putting their goals on hold. They're goal-oriented and driven, and they need a partner who supports that. But if they feel like they're not getting that support or that they're constantly being pulled away from their own dreams, they won't hesitate to walk away. It's important for Sigma females to be able to focus on their passions and aspirations without feeling guilty or conflicted. They know that being in a healthy relationship should enhance their lives, not detract from it. If the relationship is draining their energy, making it harder for them to focus on what truly matters to them, then they need to make a change. Sigma females are fiercely independent, and they will choose their personal growth over a relationship that holds them back. They're not afraid of being alone because they know that solitude allows them to thrive and build the life they want. If they need to focus on themselves, whether it's advancing their career, working on their mental health, or simply taking time for self-reflection, they will. They won't let a relationship prevent them from doing the inner work that they need to do in order to become their best selves. In the end, Sigma females prioritize their own well-being and personal growth. They believe in the power of self-love and know that they cannot pour from an empty cup. So if a relationship starts to drain them or prevent them from being their authentic selves, they will make the tough decision to walk away. It's about choosing themselves first, always. No relationship is worth sacrificing their happiness, peace, and potential. 6. Not seeing a long-term future. Sigma females aren't afraid of commitment, but they are picky about where they invest their time. If they don't see a shared future or vision with their partner, it can be hard to keep going. They won't stick around just for the sake of it. If it's not going anywhere, they'll let go and move on to something better. Not seeing a long-term future with someone is one of the most powerful reasons why Sigma females quit relationships first. They don't just enter into relationships for the sake of it or because it's convenient in the moment. When a Sigma female commits, she does so because she sees potential for the future. They are looking for someone with whom they can build a life, share experiences, and grow together. But if they don't see a long-term future with someone, it becomes hard to justify staying in the relationship. Sigma females aren't in this for temporary feelings or fleeting connections. They want something real, lasting, and meaningful. If they start to feel that their partner isn't aligned with their vision for the future, they can't ignore it. It's not about looking for perfection. They understand that no relationship is without its challenges, but there has to be a shared vision, a sense that both partners are moving toward the same goals and values. When that's not the case, they can't keep pushing forward. Sigma females aren't ones to settle or try to force something that's just not right. If they can't picture a future with someone, it's not because they're afraid of commitment, it's because they're not going to waste their time in a relationship that they know doesn't have potential. Sigma females know what they want in life, and they won't stick around in a relationship that doesn't align with that. They want a partner who shares their ambitions, dreams, and values. If they start to realize that they're moving in different directions or that their goals are no longer compatible, they'll walk away. They're also highly self-aware, and they know that it's not fair to either person to stay in a relationship that lacks a shared future. It creates emotional friction and prevents both people from growing into the best versions of themselves. It's not just about love or attraction, it's about mutual understanding and shared vision. If they're with someone who doesn't fit into their long-term picture, they know it's time to let go. They believe that life is too short to stay stuck in something that doesn't make sense for the future they're building. Their dreams and goals are important, and they refuse to put them on hold for a relationship that's going nowhere. A Sigma female will always choose to prioritize her own future and personal growth over staying in a relationship that isn't fulfilling or doesn't align with where she sees her life going. Sometimes that means making the tough choice to walk away, even if there's love involved. Love is important, but it's not everything. They need more than that. They need a partner who is as committed to the future as they are, who shares the same drive and ambition. If they can't see that, they won't stay. A Sigma female won't settle for less than a relationship that has real potential for the future. If that vision is missing, they know it's time to move on and find the relationship that aligns with their life path. Ultimately, it's about creating a future that feels right for them, and if that means walking away from someone, no matter how much they care about them, they will do it. It's about ensuring that they're building a life that's authentic to who they are and what they want. 7. Refusing to settle. Sigma females aren't ones to compromise on their core values or settle for less than what they deserve. If they're not getting what they need in a relationship, whether it's respect, honesty, or simply connection, they'll walk away. They believe in settling for nothing less than real, fulfilling love. Refusing to settle is one of the most defining characteristics of a Sigma female, And it's a major reason why they often quit relationships first. They've spent their lives learning to be independent, self-sufficient and strong in their own right. Because of this, they've built a high standard for themselves and the relationships they choose to be a part of. They're not interested in half-hearted connections or relationships that don't fully meet their emotional, intellectual or spiritual needs. Sigma females know what they deserve, and they won't settle for anything less. When a Sigma female starts to feel like she's compromising too much of herself to keep a relationship alive, it doesn't take long for her to make a decision to walk away. They have no tolerance for situations where they have to lower their standards or accept things that don't align with their values or desires. It's not about being picky or unrealistic. It's about knowing their worth and standing by it. If a relationship feels unbalanced, if their partner isn't willing to meet them halfway, or if they feel like they're settling for less than they deserve, they won't stay. They won't tolerate being in a relationship that forces them to compromise on the things that matter most to them. If the emotional connection isn't deep enough, if the respect isn't mutual, or if they're constantly questioning whether they're being treated with the level of care and love they expect, they'll make the decision to walk away. Sigma females refuse to give up their independence for someone who isn't willing to meet them on their level. They're not willing to put themselves in a situation where they're being treated less than they know they deserve. It's not about being selfish, it's about being true to themselves. If they don't feel like the relationship brings them the fulfillment they seek, or if they feel like they're giving more than they're receiving, they'll step back and reevaluate. They're not afraid of being alone because they know that being alone is better than settling for a relationship that makes them feel unappreciated or undervalued. They believe that being in a relationship should add value to their lives, not detract from it. If they're not being treated with the love, respect and honesty that they expect, they'll let go and move forward. They won't sacrifice their sense of self for a relationship that isn't giving them the things they need to thrive. This also means they're not afraid of walking away from someone who doesn't align with their long-term vision. If they can't see a future with someone because they don't meet the standards they've set for themselves, they'll move on. Sigma females aren't afraid to take the tough road of leaving a relationship because they believe that they deserve a partner who is as invested in their shared future as they are. They know that settling doesn't just compromise them, it compromises the quality of the relationship itself. If they are settling, neither of them is getting what they truly need. And for them, that's a deal breaker. They value their peace, their self-worth, and their happiness too much to settle for less than the best relationship they can have. 8. Needing better communication. Communication is everything. If Sigma females feel like they can't talk openly and honestly with their partner, that's a huge problem. Sigma females value clear, direct communication. If they're not getting that, it feels like the relationship is built on shaky ground. Without transparency, it's hard to move forward. Needing better communication is one of the most significant reasons why Sigma females walk away from relationships. Communication isn't just about talking, it's about connection, understanding, and emotional transparency. For a Sigma female, clear and honest communication is not optional, it's essential. If a relationship lacks this, it can quickly feel like Sigma females are just going through the motions, disconnected and misunderstood. When they sense that communication isn't flowing, or worse, that they're unable to truly express themselves and be heard, it's a major red flag. Sigma females value openness and depth in conversations. They want to talk about their dreams, fears, aspirations, and even their challenges in a way that feels safe and reciprocal. If they're not getting that, it feels like they're speaking into a void. Relationships should be a space where they feel heard, validated, and understood. If they're in a relationship where it feels like they're talking past each other, or when their attempts at meaningful conversation are brushed aside or misunderstood, it doesn't take long for frustration to build. Sigma females are deeply in tune with their own emotions, and they're looking for someone who can meet them on that emotional level, someone who knows how to communicate with them in a way that makes them feel seen and valued. If that's not happening, the relationship can start to feel empty, even toxic. They don't just need someone who can speak, but someone who can listen, really listen, and engage with them on a deeper level. It's about a mutual exchange. If the communication is shallow or non-existent, they'll start to feel isolated, even in the relationship. They know that when communication is broken, it's a sign that other issues are likely at play. Trust, emotional intimacy, and respect can all be affected when communication falters. The lack of clear communication can create walls between them and their partner, leaving them feeling distant, misunderstood, and even resentful. Sigma females aren't interested in passive-aggressive behavior, silent treatments, or feeling like they have to guess what their partner is thinking or feeling. They need someone who is willing to have the hard conversations, someone who is open, honest, and able to share their thoughts, emotions, and intentions with clarity. This kind of communication is a must for Sigma females, and when they aren't getting it, they know it's time to step back. They won't stay in a relationship where they feel emotionally neglected or where communication feels one-sided. Without that essential flow of information and emotional honesty, it becomes increasingly difficult to connect or build a real bond. And for Sigma females, that's a deal breaker. They won't hold on to something that's not feeding their emotional needs. If they don't feel like they're getting the honest, open communication they deserve, they'll make the difficult decision to walk away. They know that communication is the foundation of any strong relationship, and without it, it's impossible to create lasting intimacy or a sense of real connection. Sigma females understand that clear communication is key to understanding each other and building a meaningful relationship. If that's not there, they can't move forward. They need more than just words. They need the genuine emotional exchange that creates a true connection. When they're not getting that, they choose to leave. So here's the big realization. Sigma females choose to quit relationships first because they value their autonomy and fulfillment above all else. It's not about running away from love or commitment, but about creating a life that's true to who they are. Sigma females don't want to lose themselves in a relationship. They won't sacrifice their independence, their peace, or their personal growth just to keep someone else happy. At the core, it's about maintaining a sense of self and ensuring that they're living a life that reflects their true desires and values. For a Sigma female, independence isn't just about being alone. It's about having the freedom to make choices that align with their inner world. If a relationship begins to stifle that autonomy, it's no longer a healthy partnership, and walking away becomes the best choice. This isn't about avoiding love or commitment. It's about protecting what matters most, their peace of mind and sense of personal direction. Sigma females aren't afraid to walk away from a relationship if it means safeguarding their emotional and mental well-being. They understand that staying in a relationship that's not serving them can lead to frustration, resentment, and even personal stagnation. They recognize that it's better to step away, even when it's painful, than to stay in something that feels like it's holding them back. The decision to leave isn't one made lightly, but it is a decision made from strength and clarity. Sigma females are strong enough to acknowledge when something is no longer working and wise enough to walk away before things get worse. This isn't weakness, it's strength. It takes real strength to make the decision to prioritize oneself, especially when emotions and attachments are involved. Knowing when to let go, to put oneself first, and to choose their own path requires an incredible amount of inner strength. It's not an easy decision, but it's one rooted in self-respect and self-love. Sigma females understand that their well-being comes first, and that their growth should never be sacrificed for the sake of a relationship. To sum it up, Sigma females don't quit relationships just because they're emotionally unavailable. It's about self-preservation. It's about knowing when a relationship is no longer adding value to their lives and having the courage to walk away before things get toxic. They choose themselves, their independence, and their growth, and that's the most empowering thing they can do. Sigma females understand that relationships should be a source of support, mutual respect, and growth. When those qualities aren't present, they know it's time to move on, And this doesn't make them cold or unloving, it makes them strong, self-aware, and committed to their own journey. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to end a relationship first? Share your experiences in the comments below. I'm sure a lot of other Sigma females will relate. And don't forget to check out my next video on the top traits of Sigma females. You'll definitely want to watch that one. Until next time, stay strong, stay true, and never apologize for choosing yourself first.